Hello everyone, welcome back to the Tobacco Farm Life Museum's Clips and Times Facebook Live posts. We have been excited to see your responses, and we hope that you will continue to respond to us and leave messages and memories and information that you would like to share with us, because we certainly like to hear from our visitors. And one of the things I always say about the museum is that we interpret a relatively young history. So it's not like the ancient Egyptian museums where they're interpreting ancient history, but we get to share history and learn from those who have lived through some of the history. So we hope that you will join in with us as we start to look at what farmers need most. And it is an honor to be working with the farming community. The museum was built by the farmers for the general public, and it's an honor to be a part of their programs throughout the years, to work with the extension offices, with the Department of Agriculture, and just with the farmers themselves. So it is truly an honor, and we're thankful for their support. I am actually going to be looking at a newspaper article from the Smithfield Herald in 1904 today, and it is titled "What Farmers Need Most." And so as the farmers have been in the news for loss of products, especially our dairy farmers having to get rid of some of the milk, and Secretary Perdue announcing the coronavirus food assistance program for the farmers to help relocate some of the produce and the products that they have grown for sale at restaurants, to replace that and take it to the retail sectors, the supermarkets, and also to food banks in different locations, so that that's not wasted, because we know that our farmers work really hard, sun up to sundown, year round, to make sure that we have good food and good fibers, so that we have clothing and what we need. And as Commissioner Troxler says often, when you have a community that is hungry, you have one problem. So we want to thank our farmers for all of the hard work that they do to make sure that we have food on our tables. So what I have is the Smithfield Herald, and it is titled "What Farmers Need Most." So I'm going to read this, and I want you to think about what those things are, and just, any thoughts you have or questions, please put those in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. So, "Go west, young man," was the sage's advice many years ago, and only those who came west at that time and grew up with the country fully realize its wisdom. Bring one of that number whom circumstances brought west at the time, and having been raised on a farm and spent over 20 years farming on my own account, I have a pretty good idea what the farmer needs most, though the matter of machinery will have to be determined by his location. Those who live in the great wheat sections of Kansas or the Dakotas will require different tools and machinery from those who live in the rice lands of Texas and the Carolinas, or those in the orange groves of California or Florida, or the great fruit orchards of Virginia, Michigan, and Missouri, or the great corn-raising states, or the many dairy farmers of the East, or the stock ranchers of the Northwest. But wherever his lot is cast, or whatever he produces, he needs a good, practical education, which will be of continual use to him from one end of the year to the other. Thousands of farmers suffer continually from want of an education, who are giving their sons an education so they may pass more smoothly over the places that rubbed them so severely. And many have sunk financially, who might have weathered the gale with an education to steer by. The farmer needs good land to begin with, and should be systematic farming and manuring kept it good. Although many have settled on poor land and have brought it up by good management and stock raising, it is hard work, and I would much rather buy good land to begin with. He then needs a well-built, convenient house and barn and other necessary farm buildings, and should keep them in good repair and well painted. The farmer needs to make sure of an abundant supply of pure water for the house and also for the farm animals, whether by sinking wells or by digging and fencing large ponds. He needs to keep good kinds of breeds of stock of whatever class suits his purpose best, whether of horses, cattle, sheep, hogs, or poultry, as they cost no more to keep than inferior kinds, and the profit and pleasures of handling them are much greater. But keep out of fancy stock breeding. Let those who are rich have their part, and let the farmers buy their registered males to keep his stock up to a high standard. The farmer needs sufficient tools and machinery to do his own work, and he should keep them in good repair and under shelter, and should borrow as little as possible. The farmer needs to look well after his own business and never make long visits to his neighbors in busy times, or be too ready to give them advice. If they need advice, they can ask for it. He needs to keep a strict account of his farm business and should take an inventory once a year to know whether he is losing or gaining. He should also keep a strict account with those with whom he deals and should do business strictly on a cash basis. The farmer needs to let those who are traveling through the country selling lightning rods, etc., strictly alone, and should never give his signature to a stranger. The farmer needs to be connected with his neighbors and town with a telephone line, for the telephone is one of the greatest conveniences of modern times and is comparatively cheap. A dozen or more farmers can line themselves up with their town from 5 to 8 miles away at the cost from $20 to $25 each, including a first-class telephone, but not posts. And a number of merchants will be glad to help pay the cost for the privilege of having a phone on the line. Rural free mail delivery comes in a class second to the telephone. Farmers can well afford to do considerable extra work on the roads to secure a route, for it is nice and convenient to have your mail left at your door each day, and to have to take only a few steps to mail a letter. The farmer and family should go neatly dressed. A slouchy farmer has poor fences, neglected stock, dilapidated buildings, and boys who are careless, shiftless, and who generally leave the farm as soon as they can get away. An untidy woman keeps a slovenly house and raises daughters no better than herself, and who are not sought after by the better class of young men. The farmer needs to consult with his wife on all important doings, but neither should trouble the other with the minor details of their affairs. The farmer should teach his family temperance in all things. He should never go into a saloon, touch tobacco, opium, or strong drink in any form. The farmer needs to take a good religious paper, 2 or 3 farm journals, a general newspaper, his home paper, and more if his means will allow. He needs some convenient power to do the heavier work about the barn and house. Here I think the gasoline engine is the coming engine for the farmer. It is quickly started and quickly stopped, costs only while running, and is now comparatively safe. Others use down power, others a tread power, while many think there is nothing better than a windmill or a steam engine. The farmer needs to provide his wife with the latest contrivances to aid her in her work, for she is the hardest worked woman on most farms, and it does not look well to see the husband using improved machinery and the wife using a bucket for a sink, churning with an old-fashioned churn, washboard with an old sway-back washboard, and doing her sewing by hand. The farmer needs to trade with his home merchants when they carry what he wants to purchase, and not begrudge them little profit. Be liberal with them, and they will be liberal with you, and make many a turn for your profit. The farmer needs to fear God and keep his commandments, and to do unto others as he would have them do unto him. And it was written by H. Harrington from Buckland, Missouri, in the Tribune Farmer. So, this is coming from a farmer's journal, which he said you needed to invest in as a farmer, at least 2 or 3, if not more, if you could afford. So, obviously, this is kind of an article to try and help encourage the farmers to do what is right. So, there were several things that he listed. And so good land is important, good equipment, the right tools kept well, self-sufficiency, good communication, of which he lists the telephone as being the utmost convenience, and then next being the mail service, which I found interesting. But today, many farmers are struggling with getting enough internet access. So that is something that the farmers still need, that communication. And they're still seeing needs in other areas, like meeting the requirements for the all of the paperwork and all the legal requirements that any other business would have to meet, in addition to other services such as legal and lawyers. So they have to keep those on hand. And another thing that they struggle with is having the community aware of what exactly they do on the farm and what their job is. About 50 years ago, almost half of the state's population either lived or worked on a farm. And today we see that only 2% of our population are farmers, with a slightly larger percent living or working on the farm. So, in addition to that, we're seeing that the average age of that farmer is 60, 65, 66 years old or a little older. So what that means is that those family farms are looking for outside help, which gives the new generation an opportunity to look into farming and working on the farm. So, yes, the community awareness is key. So that is what I have, what the farmers need most. And we thank the farmers for all they do, their hard work, and their determination to work with the community, to give back to the community, and to provide the community with food and fiber. So I just want to thank our farmers. Thank you for all you do for the communities. If you have any comments, please let us know. We'd love to see you come out when we open back up. Again, we have resources available online and through our gift shop. So thank you for joining us. Have a great day.